Welcome to Crossing Cultures, the podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Crossing cultures, making changes, in new ranges, crossing cultures.
Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to another episode of Crossing Cultures, the podcast that is based in Qatar. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. It only takes 1 second, and share with those that will be interested in the content that we're discussing. So today I'm really happy to have Melissa with me, and Melissa was one of the speakers from the very first Crossing Cultures Live. So it's actually really great to hear another side of her story in more depth on camera. So first of all, thank you, Melissa, for coming on the podcast. It's so great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Really, I seriously appreciate you. So how would you describe your journey to Qatar and what led you to Qatar?
Okay, so my journey to Qatar started, I was working in a school in North London, and I was covering a post, and when I applied for that post, I wasn't successful. And it made me really doubt, I'm putting in all these hours, I'm showing my commitment, but I wasn't successful. So what I started to do was just look beyond what was in front of me. And I used that rejection almost as a catapult to say, okay, what else is out there for me? What else can I do? And I ended up going to an agency because a part of my role was recruiting supply teachers. And I said to the agency, do you have an international department? And they said, yeah, sure, we do. And I said, I'd like to go somewhere different and I want to try something different. I've got all these skills and all this knowledge and all this experience. And they said, absolutely. And the first interview I went down to Tottenham Court Road and I interviewed with a school and they offered me the job on the day.
Oh,
I got
amazing.
called back immediately.
Amazing.
So I came to Qatar.
Yeah. Did you find the process quite scary?
It was what I think, because the school I went to was still developing a system. So it wasn't necessarily clear, but I wouldn't say I was scared. No, I looked at it as an adventure, as something different to do, but I wasn't scared. No.
Yeah, I was. I'm not going to lie. I think when I went for the interview, I was fine.
Yeah.
I think it was everything that happened after that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the whole kind of, like I've spoken about it before, the medical, sending in your certificates, all of those
getting them
things.
tested.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, there might be one thing that goes wrong in this process. So you're always kind of thinking like, what if this doesn't happen? What if I don't get to the end of this massive transition? Yeah, it was.
But you did it.
Yeah, it was, but it wasn't easy. I don't think it was an easy process mentally.
Okay.
Mentally, it wasn't easy, and I think it depends what you're leaving behind as well.
Yes.
So I think with me, I was leaving my son behind and it was like, is this the right time to do this? Is he the right age to do it and stuff like that? So I had my own little things that were causing more of emotions, but how long you been here for now?
So this is my 9th year.
Okay.
And I also have family back in the UK and we're very close. But this is my 9th year here and I'm enjoying it.
Good.
Really enjoying it.
It's nice to have a good, experience, 'cause this is a real big difference.
Very, very different.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah. So when we talk about professional journey and leadership, so you're now head of English as second language. So
head of EAL.
Head of EAL. So that for those that don't know the acronym, so it's English as second language.
As an additional language.
Additional.
Many of our children are multilingual.
Yes.
Yeah. So I currently work at a huge international school here. We serve a British curriculum. And it's a very, I would say, our main cohort of students are Western Europeans. We've got students who come from, and their families who come from all over the world. Not many locals, actually. I've worked in other schools in Qatar that have local students, but we don't have many local students. And I'm the founding head of department there. So our school's only been open 3 years. We haven't even done 3 academic years yet. And we opened during COVID. I think people forget that.
Yes.
We opened during World Cup. We opened and I put everything in place. And I think that's the thing I really enjoy about leadership is whatever I did, I had such a supportive principal at the time. And all the ideas, from the IT program, getting laptops, doing all the recruitment, doing admissions, being a part of that process, I've really, really enjoyed it. And to watch the school blossom, we have grown at a phenomenal rate.
Yes.
When we started, 3 years ago, we had less than, 500 students, 450 students. We're tipping 2,000.
Wow.
And we haven't finished 3 years yet.
Yeah.
So it's been a really, really good journey, and I'm so glad to be a part of the, the fabric of that school and watch it grow.
Excellent. So would you say that leadership is, your experience of working in schools in Qatar is different to UK system?
Yes, I would say it's different. I think schools here, there is a gradient of quality, I think, is different. So we serve different cohorts. You've got different systems. So it could be the IB system. We serve the British curriculum. In terms of structures, I know what good leadership looks like. And I think now I'm in a school that has more robust systems in place, but that hasn't always been the case. In comparison to the UK, I think the UK, you've got, for teachers, you've got your unions and you've got CPD that maybe the civic centre can offer, the local authority can offer. Here, I'd say the difference is if you want to learn something, you're going to have to source that yourself. You need to stay current. You need to get your own pedagogical knowledge to a point where you're staying abreast with what's happening in research, things like that. I think those are the main differences. In terms of students, I'm quite lucky. I'm a primary teacher.
Yeah.
So primary students, I would say, are pretty consistent. Parents want to work with you, some of them at that age. So I've been quite lucky. There's less incidences of violence. I now teach across whole school. So my role as head of EAL is whole school.
Okay.
So I've got teaching experience in the UK, but being here, I've worked in reception and I've also taught Key Stage 4. I think the older students, I never taught Key Stage 4 in the UK, but the older students here are very aware. My parents are here to work.
Yeah.
We have an amazing opportunity. My school has some fantastic facilities. I need to get the best out of this. And their parents are very, very much a case of, this isn't our home country. So they're keen for their their children to learn English, and they're keen for their students to get the best out of it. So those are the main differences for us and the students.
It's good that you mentioned, actually, because I've never really had to pay for my own career development as much as I've done here. But like you said before, I feel like we have to take responsibility for it. So for me, it's kind of like, I don't know how long my experience is going to be here. So I need to make sure that when I choose to move on, that I've got all these credentials and experience that I can carry with me. So I think that a lot of people start growing. Sometimes they become quite stagnant and you've got to be careful, very complacent, because I don't know if it's the country, I know it's the lifestyle, but I think people just forget that, you might have to go back home at some point. And you might have to go back into another teaching position. And the one thing that you don't want to come up in an interview is, what have you done recently with your career development whilst you've been in your other country of place of work? So that's always been on my mind. Like, what if I get asked that question? What can I say? What can I bring that's going to be different to any other teacher that's already in the UK? So we always have to think a step ahead, I think.
Yeah, I did that when I was in the UK. Before I left, I got my master's. And then when I came here, since I've been here, I have also continued. I have paid for mine myself, but I don't mind because I think it's an investment in self.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like you said, where my future is going to take me, but I want to be prepared. Yeah. So since I've been here, I've become a qualified Senko. I'm currently doing the MPQSL. So I've made sure that whatever happens next, I'm prepared.
Yeah, I hear that. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so looking at financial literacy and property investment, that's something I'm really passionate about.
I do.
I'm always kind of like, my thing is like, make sure that you go back different and you maximize the situation that you're in this country or whatever Middle East country or wherever you're working. You've got to maximize the opportunity. There's no way I'm going back home and I have nothing to show for the time that I've spent here. The sacrifices that we're making, being away from our family. There's so much more we're sacrificing, because we have to do what we have to do, but we also enjoy being here. So there's many teachers that live paycheck to paycheck, and a lot of people don't actually believe that you can be getting like no tax on your salary, but you're still maxing out all of your salary, maybe booking too many holidays, upgrading your flights, too many brunches.
It's a thing.
It could be anything that's causing that person just to not take a grip. And I think a lot of people want to ignore it. Like, just don't want to deal with the reality of their future and their finances. So I know that you've managed to purchase properties with your siblings and I think maybe by yourself as well. How did that journey begin?
So my journey into property, I'm really, really lucky. So I'm from London, from a proud, Jamaican background. I've got a strong foundation of a family, that I'm honoured and really lucky to be a part of. Family has always been at the core of that. My sister and I are very close. We started off saving together, putting down a little bit of money. But even though we're both professionals and we both have degrees, we still, between the two of us, when we were living in the UK, couldn't afford it. So when I came here, I wanted to make sure, right, okay, I'm earning a little bit more money, like you said. There are very nice things to do. Who else do I want to do it by my sister? I trust her implicitly. We know what the goal is. We're both committed. We're both prepared to work for it. It's the ideal way forward.
Yeah.
And it's come really organically. So we saved in the beginning, and I think saving is a good place to start. Don't stop there, but it's a really good place to start. She was so we were looking online, looking at Zoopla, looking at Purple Bricks, all of these places. And then she was at her best friend's house. True story. She was at her best friend's house and they were having the discussion. She was saying, we're saving. My sister and I are saving. And as they've come out, her best friend was like, oh, that house next door's for sale. And she was like, oh, what's it like inside? She said, I've never been. Should we go and have a look? And the two of them knocked on the door and went in and said, oh, I see your house is for sale. Can we come in? And the owner was a bit like, yes. And that's how we bought the first house.
Wow.
Next door but one, to her best friend. So that was the first one. We put in an offer, and that's what I would say to people. Don't be afraid to put in an offer. Yes, they have an asking price, but it's just an asking price. And I think I've done a few now. You get a little bit more confident.
Yeah, you do.
Not to be cheeky.
Yeah.
But they had an offer.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, can we make a counter offer? And it went through. Sign the papers. That was property number one outside of London. Property number two I did with, so I have three siblings. I did with my other sibling. My brother was at university, and there's a big age gap between my brother and I. He was just at university in the north of England, and he was like, oh, this is what other communities do. They don't just come here and go for jollies and enjoy and have Freshers Week. They come here, they buy a property, and then they get their friends to rent out. Okay, I see the system works.
Yeah.
So when he finished, he stayed in Sheffield, and we said, this is possible, isn't it? And he said, yeah, I saw what you did with my other sibling. Let's try and repeat it. Copy, paste, repeat. That was property number two, joint venture with him. Then we set up the actual company because we were like, look, this is profitable. This works. There is a system. And there are loads of courses online you can do about different property models. You have to find one that suits you. That was property number two. In Sheffield, the next property we did together, similar model. And we've just kept learning, self-study. We've just kept in communication, having that relationship with them. The next one was a big refurb, a very, very big refurb that we threw everything at. We took a chance. You learn a lot along the way. Don't be afraid to make mistakes is what I would say. The one after that, so that was the Sheffield one, then the other Sheffield one, We've just kept scaling and kept learning and looking at different models in property, and it's done well. That coupled with my stock portfolio is how I've managed to look forward. So what do I want? That isn't just my day job.
Because I can say to people, I'm just like for me, my situation was different. I came with owning 2 properties before I came here. But I was kind of envious of everyone that was just taking their pay, their salary, and it was just going on whatever they wanted it to go on. And I'm like, oh, I still got to pay my bills in the UK. And I'm like, you guys are messing around. Like, if you're taking home your whole salary, what are you doing with that money? Because the deposit is not that bad when you go up north. It's not that bad. So I'm like, you can easily save 25k to put that down and get yourself a nice buy-to-let. And I don't know what the fear is with people why they're taking so long to do it. And I'm not saying that in a judgmental way because everybody has their situation.
Yeah.
And I look at it like, just do it. Like I've been sitting with people for maybe about 2 years now. They're still talking about, oh, I'm going to buy. And they still ain't doing it. I'm thinking, what are you waiting for exactly? I'm like, just get on with it because the process takes so long. So even if you're not ready at the very, very beginning, like you will have time to get ready during the process.
And you'll learn. I think maybe the fear is that people feel like I don't know everything. You're not going to know everything. So just do it. You will make mistakes. Like you will make mistakes. And then you have to begin that journey by taking the first step.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say that with every purchase, every lender wants something different.
Yes.
You know, some lenders want, I need a PO box. I need a address that
I'm
you
going
know.
through that right now.
Yeah.
For the current property.
Yeah.
I need proof of address. I need your utility bill.
Yeah.
I don't pay bills. Everybody pays bills.
Yeah.
I don't pay bills. Okay, I need something that's got your address on it. I need something that's... So, yeah.
Yeah, I had that situation with one lender before, and luckily we managed to navigate through it. And
Good broker.
yeah, I have a very good broker.
Get a good broker.
Shout out to New Property Finance. Like, seriously, Sebastian. When let me quickly just say that I had like my council property that I purchased like in my 20s, and we couldn't find a lender that would even refinance it because it was called a pack mortgage.
Okay.
So basically a flat that has a balcony is called a pack mortgage.
Okay.
So not many lenders offer that package. When I went to Sebastian, and Sebastian's like, I found a lender, I was like, what? I gave up on it. I was like, there's no way I can refinance this property. When I found Sebastian made it happen. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like seriously, it was life-changing. But yes, every lender wants something different from you. And gosh, they wanted letters from my workplace, which is fine because now I'm going through one now. So I'm a step ahead with all the paperwork.
And I know what's needed.
You know, yeah. And now this centre, I'm like, oh, so far so good. They haven't asked for much because now I've got my taxes. I've got, you know, everything's all set up properly. I've got my accountant. So this time around has been easy. Yeah. Touch wood, it continues like that.
Yes.
But I was ready for a battle. And it was almost kind of like putting me off. Like, do I want to go through all of this again? Am I ready? And God was like, you better get yourself ready because that's the only way that and that's the thing, is the fear which prevents people from being financially, I wouldn't say wealthy because we're not at that stage yet, but even getting to that stage, making that first step. And yes, of course it's not easy. That's why a lot of people don't do it.
Yes.
But if you're serious about financial wealth, and the legacy that you leave behind for your family, your children, you have to do it. You have to go through.
Someone's got to be the trailblazer.
Yeah.
You've got to, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Exactly. So in saying that, what advice would you give to other teachers who want to start building wealth whilst working here?
A couple of things. Collaboration, surround yourself with people who are genuinely interested and active, committed to their financial future. You know, we talk about relationships, we talk about clothes, we talk about food, we talk about all those niceties. Surround yourself with people who also want to talk about money. They're not coy or embarrassed or even kind of like trying to be closed off about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Have conversations because these are important conversations to have.
Yeah.
So surround yourself by good people. I would say build good habits. Definitely make saving first of all and then investing a part of your everyday routine.
Yeah.
Or every month, whenever you get paid, pay yourself first. I know it sounds cliche, but it's important.
Yeah.
And then I would say teach yourself. No, financial literacy is going to be in schools one day because people are creating gateways. Plug. People are creating gateways. There is so much information on social media, on YouTube. You don't have to have a degree in economics. It helps, but not everybody does.
Yeah.
The information is out there. We're living in an information age. So those are the things I would say to people. Come here, surround yourself by good people you can trust and who genuinely want to take that. Obviously, even if it's not with you, but they can walk alongside you.
Yeah.
And I feel really lucky that I have good friends both here and at home, and of course my family, and keep learning and then make those monthly habits. That's what I would say to anybody coming here.
Yeah, because I've recently started to get a little bit more disciplined with my outgoings.
Okay.
So that whole kind of 50, 30, 20 rule.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, this is actually really cool because even in the 30 that you put aside, I don't spend that.
Okay.
There's no way I spend 30% of my salary on going out and clothes and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, so I've got 30% of my salary to spend on myself. So now I'm like finding things to buy. And I'm like, you don't need that.
It's nice, but you don't need it.
You don't need that. So what you could do is just leave that. Just don't spend it. But you know that you've got that available.
Got it there.
And then the 20%, I'm like, okay, now you've got to invest that. So at the moment, I'm using Trade 212 platform.
That's not the app I use.
Yeah, for me, I find it really easy to use. But like I said to you before, I'm going to the investment boot camp this evening. So there's another brokerage that they have introduced to us to use. So I'm just going to see what the class is like and see, okay, let me set up with this new brokerage and see how it goes. But for me, Trade 212 is easy to use. It was just easier. And I've discussed with you actually what you're using and see if I need to switch over.
The app I use is good for me.
Yeah. So what app do you use then?
I use Free Trade.
Okay.
Really easy. I use the basic package. I, again, started off with very small stocks, ETFs, and then I've moved on from there. But for me, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not... If someone introduced me to a different platform, trading platform, then I'll use that. But at the moment, I'm very happy. Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah.
I've been using it for years now.
Okay. Because the thing is that I didn't know a lot about stocks, and I've got like, WhatsApp groups to join different investment groups and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I'm trying to, I don't want to invest in things that I don't understand. So for me, I'm just doing small.
And that's the way forward.
And then just see, I see how my money goes up and down. And I think, if I put £1,000 in that one, that would have gone down to 200. But it's a long game. It's not a sure win.
It's a
exactly.
Marathon. And also, that comes back to risk.
Yeah.
Please don't think of it as I'm putting in money for now. You see, with the properties and with the stocks, these are long-term investments. That's why I said it's good to save.
Yeah.
If you need money, you can put it out of your savings. But for me, when I think of investing, that's a long-term project.
Yeah.
So I'm not looking to get a return on investment within the next 5 to 10 years. That's for wherever my life takes me in 15, 20 years time.
Yeah.
So that's the way I've kind of thought of it. So you can put £1,000 in and know that there are certain companies, for sure, their projection, they've got smart people running them.
Yeah.
Their companies are built, blue chip companies that have been around for years if you invest in the right companies.
Definitely. Okay, so going back to the challenges or fears when first investing, how did you overcome them?
So don't invest any money you can't afford to lose.
Yes.
I work hard for money and I have a healthy respect for it. But I treat it as the tool that it is. So I remember, true story, there are different types of stocks. Yeah, so you've got like the big blue chip stocks, and then you've got like growth stocks, you've got ETFs, you've got bonds, and all of these things. And I remember when I started investing, I downloaded the app. 2 things happened at the same time that gave me hope. One was I invested in, because we're in a country that produces oil, so I invested in BP. And I think at the time it was like £4. I couldn't afford to lose £4.
Yeah.
I think I bought a couple of shares. Now, BP is the kind of stock that is a dividend stock. I'd say for the people that don't know what dividend stock is, a dividend stock means every quarter, every 3 months, the company will pay you for being a shareholder. So I had done it just before their dividend drop. And I remember buying the stock and thinking, oh, they've put money in I put money in because I bought a couple of shares, but someone's put money in. Now, it was only a few pence.
Yeah.
But you can
see you're making a little profit. Yes.
Exactly. It's like, how did this work? I've put money in, then they put money in.
Yeah.
And I was like, does it happen every month? Does it happen every week? And then and that's where I learned about a dividend stock. I didn't do it. It wasn't intentional, but when it's your money, you're invested.
Yes. Yeah.
And then when you see, oh, okay. Now, BP has gone up and down and up and down, but I'm consistent with it.
Yeah.
The other thing I learned very quickly is it goes the other way. So be prepared. So I'm going to take you back now. Do you remember a company? It was a startup of what they called a growth stock. It was projected to be the next big thing. Do you remember Beyond Meat?
No.
Yeah. So it was when everybody was trying to be a vegan and meat alternatives were around. And it was like Beyond Meat and a big fast food chain had just done a venture with them. And it was, people are going to stop eating meat, no more red meat, no high protein. You can get your protein from other sources. And I bought some shares in Beyond Meat because, in the next 5 years, it's going to blow up. And I think I put a couple of £100 in. And I don't know, have you heard of Beyond Meat since?
No.
No, their stocks are about £4 now. Like, I lost a tremendous amount of money.
Wow.
And that taught me a lesson.
Yeah.
And it was like, there are tried and tested ways. I don't need the money now. I've never been a person to follow fads. Don't follow fads. So when you asked me earlier about consistency, it needs to be consistency. I don't have a problem with every month choosing the blue chip companies that I know they're down at the moment, have consistently performed. Don't follow fads. That doesn't work for me. That's how I've mitigated risk. Don't jump on the bandwagon. I'm not a bandwagon type of person. The first, I always say, when you see in leadership, if we're going to tie all of these themes together, lead yourself. Know who you are, know what's important to you.
Yeah.
I like those stocks and those companies that consistently perform, because consistency for me outperforms the rare spike. And that's the way I've done it. You know, those companies that are tried and tested.
Yeah. Because I was trying to find the old company that I work for, they don't have any stocks or market. So I'm like, okay, so which companies are connected to them and which companies have just signed big deals with them? And that's why I was like, okay, invest in that company, because I know the company I work for always does well. So Shell is one of the new companies that signed a 25 deal with them. So I'm like, okay, let me buy some stocks in Shell then, see how it goes. And I'm just checking it, you know, seeing how it goes up and down and stuff like that. But like you said, it's not something I'm going to make a profit of straight away.
Yeah.
But I know that it will go up. And
it's important to manage your expectations.
Yeah.
And I've had this similar conversation with other people, and they said, oh, but Mo, you said about dividends. I said, yeah. Well, you know, the dividend was £3. I said, but it's £3 you didn't have before.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, what can I do with £3? It's £3 you didn't have before. And that's because you've got less than 20 shares.
Yes, exactly.
Multiply that, because we're scaling up.
Yeah.
Multiply that by 1,000. See what a difference it will make when you've got, you know, 100 shares of Apple.
Yeah.
That dividend is nice.
Yeah.
When you've got, you know, 500 shares of McDonald's, you're like, thank you.
Yeah.
You know? So it just pace yourself and be consistent.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. I agree. So what are some opportunities in Qatar that you think teachers often overlook?
Oh, overlook. I would say the opportunity to travel. When I first arrived, I really did I think I made a name for myself with traveling. I think the opportunity to learn about different cultures in part. CPD we've mentioned, so continued professional development, whatever your field is, but for teachers specifically, stay abreast with current topics. I would say things that they overlook. We have a lot of time. I always say to my team that I lead, you know, time is the one thing we can't get back.
Yeah.
I feel like because we start so early in the morning and then we finish, we get a lot of time after school, making sure your commitments for work are complete. There are so many things you could do with your time. Create something. Network with people. I've chosen to, you know, really take my health seriously. Or go on a fitness journey. Maximize that time. It could just be reading.
Yeah.
You know, it could be connecting. You know, you said the sacrifice of leaving people behind, calling home, you know, speaking to your family at home. Maximize your time. I do think that's something that we overlook.
Yeah.
Here, while we're here. Those are the things I would say.
Yeah, because that kind of ties into the next question in terms of like, how can teachers use their time abroad to grow professionally and personally as well?
Yeah, I would tie those in. Professionally, look at what CPD is not just available in the UK, but anywhere in the world. You know, there might be a course that's offered, for example, my specialism, which is multilingualism. There are courses in Australia talking about multilingualism. Now, obviously, most of my CPD that I do is in property and stocks.
Yeah.
But that's my choice.
Yeah.
And that enriches the personal part of me.
Yeah.
I would say personally, invest in your health. If your faith, I've got friends who have done Hajj from here. I've got friends who have really made the time, you know, to study their, you know, whatever their golden text is from here. Do things that enrich you. For me, I've gone back to playing the piano. You know, I in the UK when I was working long hours time, you know, I wasn't able to do the things that I love. You know, so I've gone back to doing salsa a couple of times a week. I love to dance.
Really?
You know, so those are the things that bring me joy.
Yeah.
And I would say to people, find what brings you joy.
Yeah.
And do it often. You know?
Yeah. Good for you. I love that. Okay. So if someone is listening and thinking that they want to go home better than they came, where should they start with that?
It all starts with, what do you want?
Yeah.
I remember, again, one of my principals that I worked with before, she said, tell me what you want. And I said, what? She goes, tell me what you want. She goes, I know what I want. And she goes, I know what I want from you, but tell me what you want and I'll meet you halfway. People need to, I find the people who are successful and get what they want are the people who know what they want. And my wants and needs may be different from yours. So yeah, we all want a roof over our heads. We all want to be happy and safe and healthy. But what does that look like to you? I do a vision board. I've encouraged my siblings to do vision boards. Be very, very clear, and then be steadfast and work towards them. So if you want to have property, what kind of property? Where do you want it? Do you want it to be a buy-to-let? Do you want it to be a residential home? Or do you want it to be a home that can be rented out? Think about those things.
Yeah.
Be very clear about those. And then work back. I think, and as teachers as well, we have a medium-term plan.
Yeah.
We know what we're teaching for the next 6 to 8 weeks. So maybe that's a professional thing. Start with the end in mind. So when you go back to the UK, do you want to work? I always want to work. I don't always want to work hard.
Yeah.
I don't always want to work long hours, but I think it's important to be around people
Definitely.
with the same energy.
Yeah.
That may not necessarily be in teaching.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do to put myself in a position that's a choice? What I love about Qatar, and I would encourage anybody to do, is give yourself as many choices as possible. I enjoy teaching. I do. Today.
Yeah.
I may not enjoy it in 15 years' time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I need to prepare myself. So teachers who are coming, I would say to them, think about, and you don't have to go back home, you can go anywhere. That's the amazing thing about the world we're living in now. Once you've got internet, you could be anywhere. Think about what it is you want, what it is that's going to look like for you. If you're going to talk specifically about finances, which I think is important, how much money do you need to live on a month?
Without working.
Yeah, how much money do you need to live on a month? And once you've worked, then work backwards.
Yeah.
Okay. How much does it cost to do my nails?
Where am I going to get this income from? Yeah. Yeah. That's
how can I get that?
Yeah.
Really make those adulting decisions. And it can be quite scary, but the time is going to go anyway.
Exactly.
So you would be best advised
to
use that time prudently to prepare for your future. Because as you know, the financial advisor said, retirement isn't an age.
Yeah.
It's an amount. And I loved when she said that. It's an amount. So make sure you've got that amount in mind.
Yeah.
What do you want your future to look like?
Yeah.
And then design it.
Yeah.
And it may, and that's the other thing, is it may change. When I was in my 20s and my 30s, I mean, I'm still in my 30s. When I was in my 20s and my 30s, what was important to me then and the choices that I made then served me then. But now I'm older. I know more. So I make choices that serve who I am now, and hopefully who I'll be in the future.
Yeah, definitely. So what advice would you give to somebody a new teacher that's arriving in August?
Someone who's coming here, be open-minded. You've chosen to leave what you know, so be open to learn new things, but also remember why you're here. Have a great time. Do the holidays, do the brunches, do the pool parties, but remember why you're coming.
Yeah.
Because a year can pass, 9 years can pass, and you're like, what did I do? Be very focused. Remember why you're here. Find your tribe.
Yeah.
I've been really lucky. I've met some really, really lovely people, and I treat people well, and for the most part, that's been reciprocated.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't need a lot of friends. Don't be waylaid. It's about being focused. I'd say to any new teacher of any age, any subject, be focused.
Yeah.
Come with who you are at your core. Come with your integrity and your passion for the profession. And you want to do right by your students, but also how can you be your best possible self?
Yeah.
And remind yourself of that often.
Yeah, because I think it can be quite disheartening as well when you have as a new teacher, if you arrive and, you're not happy where you're placed and stuff like that. That can be a real challenge, and it can be quite lonely. And that's why it's important to try and connect with people outside of your school as well, so you can have a bit of a break and have someone to really kind of like just blurt everything out to, and just, so you're not keeping it all to yourself. So talking really is important.
And here there's a big expat community.
Massive.
And if you're lucky to find people from your community back home, that's a bonus. I feel so lucky at times.
I know, because I said in our group, we're like, oh, where are you from? You're from South London? Like, you're from North London? Like, everybody's so close. But you will never meet each other in the UK. But it's amazing.
You've come here.
Connected,
And even if it's not regular contact, it's there. And someone was at the end of a WhatsApp or at the end of a message, I think, find your tribe.
Yeah.
It really, really, you know, that it's cliche, but, you know, it's not about just the journey. It is about the company. The company you keep. Show me your friends.
Yeah.
And I'll show you who you are.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so we have come to the last questions already. You know, it's gone so quickly, but I definitely feel like some of the takeaways from the conversation really is about finding your tribe, being really strict about what you do with your finances. Don't be afraid to invest. Do it small. Only invest what you're, willing to lose, and make sure you go back more advanced than how you came, and really learn from this experience. Be open-minded about different cultures and stuff like that. Yeah. So thank you. Great advice. Great advice. So, where to next? Where do you see yourself in the next few years?
Happy, healthy, still pursuing my property journey. I definitely see myself moving in that space more. I'm going to continue to travel and learn more, and continue to be a vessel and when I say leadership, leading people into what their authentic purpose is. You know, I feel like when you get to this age, being a big sister, being a leader, we've got experiences, and to me they're just like, oh, there's nothing big. But when you tell your story to other people, they're like, oh, you've done that. So I'm really happy to share. Each one teach one.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I want to continue to be moving in the property spaces, securing my financial future, and continuing to be happy and healthy.
Yeah, good. And where can people stay connected? I mean, are you open to sharing?
I am, if people are interested to learn. I mean, I've got my LinkedIn. You can send me a message on Instagram and on Facebook.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
I'm always happy to have a conversation.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, everyone, that was another amazing episode. I hope you've really learned something today. And like we said, if you need to get in contact with us about any of the financial journeys, or if you need information on brokers, solicitors, accountants that can help you as an expat investor, please send us a message, and please subscribe and share with others. So I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more Crossing Culture episodes coming soon. Take care, guys.